Rahman Rahim. Welcome to this week's session. For this week and next week, I shall be explaining virtues and rulings regarding Ramadan. Okay. We'll only be doing a session this week and next week, and then in Ramadan, I will not be doing any sessions. I may do, but probably not due to commitments. Okay, so we're going to talk about the virtues and the fiqh of Ramadan. We'll be talking about quite a few issues which are visible on the screen. Importance of time, what is Ramzan, fasting in Ramzan, special acts of worship, advice, some NHS advice, how to make the most of our time. And I'll be talking also about rulings regarding Ramadan. First of all, time is of importance. Time is very important. Time is so important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned a whole surah which has been named by the time. The surah is Surah Al-Asr, which most of us probably know off by heart. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah, He takes an oath by time. By time, indeed, mankind is at loss, except those who have believed and do righteous deeds and advise each other about truth and advise each other about patience. So the fact that time is of essential importance, time is very, very important in human life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually takes an oath in Surah Al-Asr. I mean, nowadays, many youngsters you see, hanging around, wasting their time on the streets. And when you ask them, why are you wasting time? The answer they have is, we're killing time. But the reality is that they're not killing time. Time is killing them, or time is killing us. We're wasting time. Time is killing us. There's an Arabic proverb which mentions that time is like a sword. If you don't cut it, then the sword will cut you. So time is of essential importance. There's also a hadith which mentions kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib aw abiru sabil. Ibn Umar who mentions that the Prophet ﷺ held me by my shoulders and said, live in this world as if you are a traveler or a wayfarer. Just a perfect example is if we are going on holiday, whether we're going to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Turkey, wherever it is, we don't take our whole house with us. We only take the essentials. We take what we need. In the same manner, a human being has come into this world as a traveler. So we are to do the bare necessities, and then the full life we will experience, the full pleasure we'll experience the hereafter. So this is why the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that a person should live their life just like a traveler. What sort of actions should we do? The Prophet ﷺ mentions in a hadith, Al-Kayyis man dana nafsahu wa amila lima ba'da al-maut wal-ajizu man atba'a nafsahu hawaha wa tamanna ala Allah. So who's an intelligent person? An intelligent person is that person who suppresses his self-desires. Man dana nafsahu, who suppresses his self-desires, wa amila lima ba'da al-maut, and does actions for the hereafter. Because what we've got to remember is this life is temporary, and the life in the hereafter is eternal. And in the afterlife, pounds and rupees and money will not be of any benefit. The only thing that will benefit us is what we've prepared for while we are in the world, in the temporary world, for the hereafter. Moving on. Now, okay, next thing is, so how many, quick question, how many months are there in the Islamic calendar? Can somebody give me some names in the chat? Can somebody give me some names of the Islamic months that we have in the calendar? So I'm not talking about January, February here. Can you name me some months that we have in Islamic calendar? Come on, quick fire, please. Shaban, very good, mashallah. We are in Shaban at the moment. Any of the months, Muharram, Shawwal. Okay. How many of us actually know the 12 months of Islam? Yeah, perfect. Okay, we've got a big answer there. Safar, Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, Jamadul Awwal, etc. Very good, excellent. Right. So I'm very glad that you guys are aware of the Islamic months. Fantastic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran Kareem that a year does consist of 12 months. So that basically comes from the Quran Kareem. It comes from an original source. And just like there are 12 months in the English calendar, we also have 12 months in the Islamic calendar, which are Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, Jamadil Ula, Jamadil Ukhra, Rajab, Sha'ban, which we are in the moment. Okay. And we have Ramadan, which is coming very near. Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah. These are the 12 months of the Islamic calendar. And soon we will be having the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan has many virtues, which have been mentioned in the hadith, mentioned in books of hadith. In the Quran Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions the Shahr Ramadan. He mentions the month of Ramadan. Ramadan is the month in which the Quran Kareem was revealed. That itself shows how blessed the month of Ramadan is. I mean, even if we were not ordained, we were not obligated to fast in this month, the mere fact that the Quran Kareem was revealed in this month shows the virtue of this month. And then further on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that whosoever sees the moon or whosoever is present in the month of Ramadan, they will be required to fast, obviously with the conditions of being mature, etc. So this ayat and this verse can be found in the Quran Kareem, which obligates us to fast in the month of Ramadan. The second question is, and we've covered this in detail in the past lessons, the 4 holy books and which prophets they were sent to. It's a question, but I will go through the answer very quickly. All the holy books, the fact that I want to point out here is all the holy books were sent in Ramadan. All the holy books were sent upon the prophets in Ramadan. So we have the Torah, Zabur, Injil, and Quran. Other than that, there were scriptures also, which were they sent in Ramadan? I have no idea, but the 4 main books were definitely sent upon the prophets in the holy month of Ramadan. Again, that shows the virtue of this month and the significance it has in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third question is, on which night was the Quran revealed? Does anybody know the answer to this? On which night was the Quran revealed? Any answers? So the Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan, but on which night? Laylatul Qadr, very good. Well done. Yeah, that's a good answer. Any other answers? On the 17th night. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay, any other answers? Right, okay. So the Quran Kareem was revealed in the night of Qadr, which is known as Laylatul Qadr. And again, to show the significance of Laylatul Qadr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down, has revealed in the Quran Kareem a whole surah which mentions the virtues of Laylatul Qadr. So I'll let you read the translation on the screen for a minute or so. So the fact is that the Quran Kareem was revealed in the night of Qadr, Shab Qadr. Now, which night was that when the Quran Kareem was actually revealed? Again, scholars will have differences of opinion, and that also depends on what night is the night of Qadr. Well, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when the Quran Kareem was actually revealed, on which night was the night of Qadr? Because we'll come later to understand that the night of Qadr actually it changes and it revolves around the month of Ramadan as years go by. So the night of Qadr is quite significant. Regarding Laylatul Qadr, just to be very brief, I don't really want to go into any tafsir or anything, but the night of Qadr is very, very precious. And again, the month of Ramadan is blessed anyway. And on top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a night which is better than 1,000 months. I know in certain lectures, right, you might hear that the night of Qadr is equal to 83 years, but it's actually better than 83 years. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best how better it is than 83 years of worship. So, according to one narration, Imam Mujahid Rahmatullah, he narrates a narration in Ibn Jarir, where a worshipper from among the children of Israel, the Bani Israel, they used to worship, he used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the whole night. And as soon as the dawn broke, he would then arm himself and fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this basically continued for 1,000 months. This was related to the Sahaba by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, in order to match that virtue or it be even better, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down, you could say he revealed the night of Qadr for the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that we could obtain that virtue in one night. Basically, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that one night would be better than worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for more than 83 or 83 years. So regarding Laylatul Qadr, I mean, there's many virtues. A person can go into the tafsir of the Quran Kareem, and there are many virtues regarding that. Regarding the day, on which night does Laylatul Qadr take place? Again, there are many traditions. The Prophet ﷺ did say, find the Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 days of Ramadan, and even that, according to one narration, the odd nights. So we're talking about the 21st, the 23rd, 25th, 27th, and 29th. I know it's quite popular that the 27th night is the night of Qadr, but to be honest, that's just one opinion. That's one opinion which has been substantiated through narrations of the Sahaba. But if a person is only to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on one night, on the 27th, and no other night, then I would believe that that person is in a certain way, that person would be deprived. There would be years where he or she would not achieve or not obtain the night of Qadr, and therefore missing out on the essential virtue of that night. So what would be better is a person, as a minimum is make sure that you have your worship in place on the 21st, the 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th, at least these 5 nights, so a person does not miss out on the immense reward that a person may receive for the night of Qadr. And again, if you look into the books of the Hadith, you'll find out, many du'as that can be read. But the main ibadah, the main worship is to pray the Quran Kareem, recite the Quran Kareem as much as possible, as the month of Ramadan is a month of the Quran. Hazrat Jibreel salam also descends, and he, according to one narration, he makes musafaha and he shakes hands with those people who are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this particular night. So there's a lot of detail which again can be found in the books of hadith. So a point for consideration is it's a very blessed month because the Quran Kareem was revealed in Ramadan. Not only that, in Ramadan, and also the Quran Kareem was revealed on the night of Qadr. The Quran Kareem was revealed, the revelation started in Makkah. It was brought down by Jibreel salam, and it was revealed upon the best of prophets, the Prophet ﷺ, the best of angels, which is Jibreel salam. It was revealed in the best of places, which is Makkah. It was revealed in the best of nights, which is Shabi Qadr. It was revealed in Ramadan, which is the best of months. So again, that shows how significant the significant is the Quran Kareem in this month, and hence recitation of the Quran Kareem is one of the best ibadahs, one of the best worships in this night and in the month in itself. The next question is, we do see generally that during the month of Ramadan, it becomes much more easier for us to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the reasons behind that, the scholars state that there's a hadith which mentions that إذا دخل شهر رمضان فتحت أبواب السماء وغلقت أبواب جهنم وسلسلة الشياطين. That when the month of Ramadan comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decorates paradise. Every year, He decorates paradise. The doors of the sky are open, Jannah open, the doors of hell are locked, and the major shayateen are then chained. Because people will have an objection saying, well, I've seen people who sin in Ramadan. How can the shaitan be chained? So the answer to that, there's two answers there. The first answer is that the major shaitan are chained, and hence this is why we see most people worshipping Allah Ta'ala to a great extent in Ramadan. The smaller shaitan are still out, and according to another commentary, all the shaitan are chained, but it's the ego that makes a person sin in Ramadan. If a person has been, sinning 11 months of the year in a particular sin, and then try and stop that sin all of a sudden in Ramadan, sometimes it becomes very difficult. It's because the ego has been habituated in committing that sin. That's the problem there. So it's about suppressing our desires, during the whole year, so that when Ramadan does commence, it becomes much more easier for us to leave the sins that we may have committed. Another question, name some acts of worship which are done in the month of Ramadan. So the main act of worship in Ramadan is fasting. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran Kareem, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam, that fasting has become obligatory. It has been ordained upon us. Alaykum siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. From which we understand is that fasting was not just ordained on this ummah. Fasting was something that was done in the previous ummahs as well. In actual fact, fasting has been made easier for us in this ummah. According to the Quran Kareem, when we look at the story of Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam, when she was told to keep a fast upon the birth of Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, the fasting of Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam, she was not allowed to speak. She was not allowed to speak. So fasting was much more tough, you could say, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easier for us in this ummah. I mean, in this ummah itself, I remember reading a narration regarding a Sahabi radiallahu anhu, that there was a time when if a person would basically read Salatul Isha and then go to sleep, once he wakes up, his roza would start. So basically, you were not allowed to do sehri, which, the pre-dawn meal. Your roza would start straight away. Your fasting would start straight away. So circumstances have basically changed since then, and fasting has been made easier. But just to satisfy, a sense of satisfaction that it's not only that we are fasting, but the ummahs and the nations before us also fasted, and they also earn their reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, moving on. So fasting is obligatory. And again, that comes with conditions which I'll explain at some other stage. It's also a pillar of Islam. And there's a hadith there which explains the 5 pillars of Islam. When did fasting become obligatory? Fasting became obligatory in the 2nd year of Hijrah, which means the 2nd year after the migration. When the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Mecca, that's when fasting became obligatory. Before that, there were other fasts which were ordained, with, like, for example, the fast of Muharram, etc. But the fast of Ramadan became obligatory at a later stage. Do other religions fast? Yes, they do. You may have heard of Lent. You may have heard of Yom Kippur. So Lent is for the Christians. Yom Kippur is for the Jews. Yes, well then I've got some answers there. Fantastic. The next one is, what does taqwa mean? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you looked at the verse that I showed you in the previous slides, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that fasting has become obligatory upon you so that you may become muttaqi, so you may become God-fearing. So what does taqwa actually mean? Taqwa means God-fearing awareness of Allah ta'ala. There's a very good example being given by Hazrat Umar anhu, where he discusses with the Sahabi the meaning of taqwa, and where he discusses that if I were to walk through a path with thorns, and I would kind of dishevel and pick up my kurta, trying to protect myself from the thorns on the path, that is taqwa. Basically, you're going through temptations in the world, you're going through desires in the world, and at the same time, we are trying to protect ourselves from those desires, and that is known as taqwa. So fasting, it suppresses, it automatically, once a person fasts, you don't feel like doing much. You may feel tired at times, you may feel weak at times, and all this suppresses a person's desire, it suppresses a person's ego. And hence a person would either not want to commit sin or sin much less than in normal circumstances. And this is why fasting makes a person more God-fearing, and fasting elevates a person's spirituality. What does the word Sawm mean? Sawm means to abstain from food, drink, and intimate relations from dawn till dusk with the intention of fasting. Who has to fast? Fasting is obligatory upon somebody who's Muslim. They need to be mature. They need to be of sound health. They're not sick. They need to be a muqim and not a traveler. Islamically, a person who travels 48 miles distance, that person would be regarded as a traveler. Who does not need to fast? And again, this has been very briefly explained in the Quran Kareem. An ill person who cannot fast without unbearable hardship, or they have a strong feeling that by fasting their illness could get worse. And this is what's been explained in the Quran Kareem verse from Maridun. A person who is a traveler does not require fasting. Now, there's a lot of misconception there. People think that basically, for example, if I'm to travel to Pakistan, let's say today, let's take today's example at 4 p.m. I don't have to fast from the morning. That's not right. The correct answer to that is once a person once a person commences his journey or her journey, and then for whatever reason they feel weak, or they are allowed to break their fast, or they are allowed not to fast in them circumstances. But once they are not traveling, they're not a traveler, they're at home, and the fasting has started, there's obligatory upon them to also start the fasting. A woman on her periods doesn't need to fast. Question number 5, what hours do we need to fast? So again, this has been explained in the ayah of the Quran Kareem, which is from until the white thread of the dawn. So until from Fajr time till the time of Maghrib. That's just a diagram there which you can look at. So it starts from Fajr. Fajr time ends at Maghrib time. Reward of fasting. A narration by Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who has said from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever fasts in Ramadan with faith while seeking his reward from Allah ta'ala will have all his past sins forgiven. And I mean, the fasting in Ramadan, there are so many virtues. There's a book which has been written by Sheikh Zakaria Kandeli rahmatullahi alayh, called Virtues of Ramadan. I mean, I think that's an essential book a person should be reading, so that you can create the significance and the virtue within we can create the virtue and significance within our hearts, in our household, before the month of Ramadan actually commences. Because when a person knows the virtue of something, they'll be more likely that that person wants to do it from their own will, and they'll have the passion to complete such tasks. Again, there are many virtues. The Prophet ﷺ says in a narration, all of the actions of Ibn Adam are for him except fasting. And that's one of the unique features of fasting, that every deed will be given its reward, and it's basically been clarified. It's been told explicitly in hadith. But when it comes to fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions as-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bihi, that fasting is for me and I shall give the reward myself. Now, I mean, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the reward, then we don't expect nothing less than paradise, and obviously the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sufyan Thawri rahmatullahi alayhi, he mentions that the word of the hadith is as-sawmu li wa ana ujza bihi. And I think when a person listens to this narration, we should be very, very pleased. What does it mean? It means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, fasting is for me, and I myself am the reward. I myself am the reward for the fasting person. Now, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I am the reward myself, then what does a person have to worry about in the hereafter? Nothing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is the reward. So that basically means you'll be well looked after in the hereafter for a person who has fasted in Ramadan, and maybe other optional fasts also. And also the hadith mentions لَخُلُوفُ فَمِ الصَّائِمَةِ يَوْمَ إِنَّ اللَّهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامِ مِنْ رِيحِ الْمِسْكِ, that the smell from the mouth of a fasting person is more liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the smell of musk. And also for the person, there are two happinesses. One which will make him happy when he does iftar, and on the day of judgment when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when she meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will be pleased with the reward that will be given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's also a special door which is known as Rayyan. Paradise has many doors. And for each set of worship, there will be a special door. There'll be a special door for those people also who have fasted during the month of Ramadan, known as Rayyan. We have a special night prayer in the month of Ramadan known as Taraweeh. The Prophet ﷺ mentions, "Man qama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban, ghufira lahu ma taqaddam min dambi," which means whosoever stands in Ramadan with faith while seeking its reward from Allah Ta'ala, his sins, his past sins will be forgiven. So Taraweeh is 20 rakats. Again, I don't want to go into the kind of detail of that. Taraweeh is 20 rakats. And if we time that by 27 nights, because I think most masajid and most mosques, they do try and aim to finish on the 27th night. There's 540 ruku, which makes it easier to finish on the 27th night with 20 rakats, so obviously. Okay. So Taraweeh is an emphasized sunnah. Therefore, every effort should be made to perform 20 rakats of Taraweeh Salah. I know there are groups out there who believe that it's 8 rakats, but the kind of prominent view is that a person prays 20 rakats of Taraweeh Salah. And this was a sunnah which was basically emphasized by Hazrat Umar anhu, and this it was ratified by all the Sahaba. No Sahaba objected against the Taraweeh being 20 rakats. Hence, it would be a sunnah to perform the full 20 rakats. If a person is unable to perform the 20 rakats standing, then he or she is allowed to pray sitting down. But a person should not be sitting down for any a small reason. If it's a valid reason, Islamic valid reason, the person is allowed to pray sitting down. Taraweeh Salah can be performed in congregation and individually. It's recommended that Taraweeh is performed in the homes as well. If you have a Hafiz in the home, then Taraweeh could be performed in congregation, obviously with a male person leading. If there is no Hafiz for Taraweeh, let's say we live in a vicinity, we live in an area where there's no Hafiz for Taraweeh, then Taraweeh can be prayed with the small surahs of the Quran Kareem. For example, starting from Alam Tara all the way to Surah Nas. That can be an option. A person should try, and memorize as many surahs as they can in the Quran Kareem, and every effort should be made to perfect the pronunciation of the Quran Kareem. Okay, I'm going to stop there. If you guys could join me again, just end the session here and join me again, please. Jazakallah.